Hello, you're watching Uzreport.NEWS and I'm Bahram Gaffarov. Turkey intends to export locally produced coronavirus detection kits to Uzbekistan. Uzbek Ambassador to the United States, Javlon Vahabov, visited headquarters of the world's largest consumer goods producer, Procter Gamble. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev chaired a video conference on effective organization of fruit and vegetable clusters. Turkey in coming days will begin export to Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan locally produced coronavirus detection kits that can get results in about 2 hours, Health Minister of Turkey said. The kit was produced in line with data from the World Health Organization and get results in about 90 to 120 minutes, a bit less than in Germany or France. Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan requested some 10,000 kits each, and Turkey will begin exporting them in coming days. Ankara has said there are no cases of the virus in the country and the authorities are using thermal cameras at airports as well as for other protective measures. Turkish Airlines suspended flights to China after the World Health Organization said it was declaring the outbreak of global emergency. In the meantime, according to Health Minister of Uzbekistan, 451 Chinese citizens have arrived in Uzbekistan in the period from 1st to 14th February. No case of infection have been revealed in the country so far. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev chaired a video conference on effective organization of fruit and vegetable cluster, phasing out the system of cotton and grain harvest for the state needs. He also underlined the priorities in this direction.
Mirziyoyev pointed out to the importance of regulation of contractual relations, the definition of the rights, duties and responsibilities of producers, processors and exporters of products. He gave instructions to provide export-oriented crops with necessary seeds, seedlings, mineral fertilizers and fuel. One of the deputies of the central bank and deputies of other commercial banks will be responsible for financing projects and providing fruit and vegetable clusters with working capital. Uzbek Kozakokot Holding was instructed to analyze export contracts and facilitate the conclusion of additional agreements, taking into account the allocation of working capital. The president said that the current system of cotton harvest has many shortcomings. One of them is the lack of funds for cotton processing and production of finished goods. With this in mind, it is necessary to improve the system of cluster financing. The abolishment of the state order for procurement of cotton and grain is intended to eliminate the race for the plan. Particular attention at the video conference was also paid to creating grain reserves. It is expected that the farmers will soon enjoy the right to freely sell the grain. Since this issue is related to food security, it is planned to eliminate the mandatory sale of grain to the state in 2 states. This year, the volume of grain purchases for state needs will be reduced. That is, more than 1 million tons of grain will remain at the disposal of farmers. And from 2021, the plan to sell grain to the state will be completely abolished. The products will be sold at market prices.
During February 10th to 12th, Special Representative of Uzbek President for Afghanistan, Ismail Ergashev, pays a visit to Afghan cities, Hayratan, Mazar-e-Sharif and the capital Kabul, where he met with local officials and the representatives of business communities. Agreements were reached by the parties on a significant expansion of freight and the transit traffic to Afghanistan and through the territory of this country and the reduction of existing railway tariffs. The envoy also met with the Minister of Transport, Yama Shams, who said that Uzbekistan could be an example for other countries in the matter of economic assistance to the IRA. The topic of International Press Club's recent session was human development policy. What are the principles of work in this area and what are the consequences of ineffective recruitment and who should be taking responsibility for assessing employees' skills and competencies? These and other issues were in the focus of discussions.
Earlier in his message to the Parliament, President Shavkat Mirziyoyev also emphasized the issue of human development policy, which is one of the pressing issues of the day. Qualified staff is a key to the success of any organization. There are special professional development centers and the institutes established to upgrade qualifications of teachers, doctors and other specialists. And there is also an Academy of Public Administration under the President for training government officials. Much attention is paid to the gender balance as well.
Murojaatnomada rahbar kadrlarni tayyorlashga ham alohida
Many professions were ignored before. Now this is being solved through cooperation with ministries. We've set common objectives. Parents want their children to have high education, but at the same time, children should have aspiration. There is no sense of forcing them. Young people should love what they do, regardless of the opinions of their parents. Speaking generally about leaders, they need to possess not only leadership skills, but also have an excellent knowledge of the private sector and meet the international qualification criteria requirements. But what qualities define a good leader? A leader is a person with both knowledge and good human traits, someone who knows how to lead a team. There is no such an institute that teaches how to be a good leader. Even the public academy cannot fulfill this task. First of all, the leader must be taught how to be a good human. Kindergarten, school and family should be fertile ground for this. Why do employees get fired by their managers so easily? After all, this is a violation of the labor code. Nepotism is also widely practiced across the country. Ineffective recruitment may result in bad consequences. We have a concept for the development of higher education. By 2030, we must provide students with the relevant skills, but much needs to be done yet. Our labor code is transparent. Now a manager cannot let an employee go easily. He must prove their incompetence to the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Finance, and the Civil Service Development Agency. A new digitalized system for the civil service employment has been set up in Uzbekistan. Now, all applications must be submitted online through the Civil Service Development Agency. We are the agency that receives all the applications, and we are in contact with ministries. There are also job vacancies available. We look through the resumes and then forward them to the ministry's HR departments. The document processing takes several days, and as a next step, we schedule interviews and notify the candidates either by email or phone call. How to train and select personnel. We need well-performing employees, but most importantly, we need strategically thinking people. There should be collaboration established between universities and public agencies. Students need experience. There is a discrepancy between what University of Economics teaches and the Ministry of Economy needs in terms of skills and qualification. We need to fix our education system.
The Ministry for Innovative Development of the Republic of Uzbekistan, jointly with the Ministry of Science and Higher Education of the Russian Federation, has announced a contest for startup projects. The joint contest is to be held within the framework of cooperation agreements signed between the two agencies in 2019. To become a contest participant, legal entities of Uzbekistan are required to attract partners from Russian Federation. On the Uzbek side, the winners will be allocated funds up to $105,000. Uzbek Ambassador to the United States Javlon Vahabov visited headquarters of the world's largest consumer goods producer, Procter Gamble, where he had a meeting with the company's senior manager, Mike Prentice. The sides discussed the implementation of the agreements reached during the visit to Procter Gamble's year president to Uzbekistan. The company's participation in this year in Tashkent International Investment Forum to be held in March of this year, as well as the expansion of the company's business activities in Uzbekistan.
Noting the growing interest of Procter & Gamble in the Uzbek market, Mike Prentice appreciated the reforms being carried out in the country and the favorable conditions being created for foreign investors. The representative of Procter & Gamble also noted the commitment of the Uzbek government to ensure intellectual property rights. The parties discussed the organization of training programs on international standards for implementation of customs procedures and identifying counterfeit goods. According to Mike Prentice, the company is open to the possibility of expanding the scope of activities up to starting production in Uzbekistan. Further, the P&G representatives confirmed the company's Europe president Loic Tassel's visit to Uzbekistan to participate in the first Tashkent International Investment Forum to be held in early March 2020. Procter & Gamble is an American multinational consumer goods company headquartered in downtown Cincinnati. P&G is the world's largest consumer packaged goods company with nearly $84 billion in sales and more than $10 billion in net earnings. They span a broad range of product categories, including household care, beauty, grooming, and personal health care, and are household names around the world. Procter & Gamble ranks 31st in the Fortune 500 list. Meantime, P&G runs a distribution network in Uzbekistan and employs some 300 people.
On February 14th, the third session of the Tashkent City Assembly of People's Deputies was held in Tashkent City Municipality. The session addressed issues of socio-economic development of the capital, creation of jobs, tackling important territorial issues. According to Deputy Mayor of Tashkent, Sharof Rahmanov, some 600 regional investment projects totaling $2.8 billion have been planned for the implementation in 2020, including the construction of modern business centers, hotels, large exhibition centers, and houses of trading and services in central parts of the city. Uzbekistan has become a party to the UNESCO Convention on the Protection and Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions. The convention was signed on October 20, 2005 in Paris and entered into the force on March 18, 2007. Uzbekistan ratified the convention on October 14, 2019. To date, 148 countries have ratified the document. The main objective of the convention is to strengthen the creation, production, distribution, access and enjoyment of the cultural expressions transmitted by cultural activities, goods and services. Currently, Uzbekistan is taking relevant measures for the phased implementation of the main provision of the convention. A vivid example of this is Sharq Taronaları International Music Festival and the International Maqam Art Forum and the International Bakhshi Art Festival, which are held on a regular basis.
Relations between the United States and Iran have been at boiling point for almost 2 years since US President Donald Trump abandoned a 2015 pact between Iran and world powers, under which Tehran had accepted to curb its nuclear program in return for the lifting of sanctions. Speaking in the capital on Sunday, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. What they thought is that they could use maximum pressure to make us sit at the negotiating table from a position of weakness is not possible, and we have talked to the world with power and dignity, but we will never negotiate from a position of weakness. We said if the United States goes back to the JCPOA nuclear deal, if they avoid sanctioning of Iran, then they can be present in the form of UN Security Council members and negotiate. Until this is done, negotiations with the United States will not be possible. Tensions spiked further following the killing of Iran's most prominent military commander, Qasem Soleimani, in January. In retaliation, Iran attacked US targets in Iraq. Trump has adopted a policy of maximum pressure to force Tehran to negotiate a broader deal that further curbs Iran's nuclear work, ending its missile program and its involvement in regional proxy wars.
President Donald Trump on Sunday took a loop around the Daytona 500 racetrack in his presidential limousine, drawing cheers from fans at NASCAR's most prestigious race. Ramping up his nationwide re-election effort after his acquittal in the impeachment trial, Trump served as the Grand Marshal at the annual NASCAR event, which takes place in the electoral swing state of Florida. After being driven a full lap in the limo before the race began, Trump delivered the opening line of "Gentlemen, start your engines" at the Daytona International Speedway before a crowd of 100,000 people. He also spoke to the crowd.
The Daytona 500 is a legendary display of roaring engines, soaring spirits of the American skill, speed, and power that we've been hearing about for so many years. But NASCAR fans never forget that no matter who wins the race, what matters most is God, family, and country.
Trump will now add his name to the list of other previous presidents who attended NASCAR events at the Speedway, including Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has made his first public appearance in 22 days, state media reported on Saturday, amid an outbreak of coronavirus that originated in neighboring China. Kim visited the National Mausoleum, flanked by high-ranking party officials, to mark the 78th anniversary of his father, Kim Jong-il's birth. North Korea has not confirmed any cases of the new coronavirus, But state media said the government was extending a quarantine period for people showing symptoms to 30 days, and that all government institutions and foreigners living in North Korea were expected to comply unconditionally. Kim Jong-il's birth is a national holiday celebrated as the Day of the Shining Star. And the official KCNA news agency showed residents and soldiers trudging through heavy snow towards Mansu Hill Monument to lay flowers at the statues of Kim Jong-il and his father, Kim Il-sung.
So far, this has been all the news we intended to share with you today. Goodbye.